before we begin, I think it would be nice if all of us could introduce ourselves, sorry? All of us could introduce ourselves so that we get familiar with who's who and I have an idea as to who is here representing which section applicable for the Juvenile Justice Board. So, can we start?
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Vivek Thapa. I'm chairperson from the Gyalshing, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I'm Wendy Lecture. I'm District Child Protection Officer from Hon'ble District. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. I'm Figu Lamta, Chairperson, CWC Gangtok East.
Hello and very good morning to everyone. I'm Tenzin from CWC East and I'm a member.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Pika Tamang, Legal and Probation Officer from KZ.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Guru and I'm a legal and probation officer for South District.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Samya Sipai and JJP member from West Sikkim.
I'm glad to see a good turnout from West Sikkim.
Very good morning to Honorable Madam and all the members. Myself, Vinurai. I am a member of Juvenile Justice Board, Mongan District.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Roja Rai, CWC member, Gyalshing.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Vedang Lecture. I'm CWC member of Sikkim.
For being present today, I must confess that our Juvenile Justice Act or Juvenile Justice cases, it's been a long time since I handled such cases, although as sessions judges or district judges, you know that we'll be the children's court also, you know. Is this working? Okay. But I've been quite out of touch with the Act itself, although like every once in a while we are required to update ourselves. And I think that all of you being in the field, I think you're more in touch with the Act. So the purpose, although today it says that it's a refresher course, right? But I feel that we can learn more by sharing the different experiences that you have and understanding exactly what is your duty in your respective fields. You know, but before we do that, the main thing before exercising any of our duties is to understand what is the purpose behind any act, be it a Juvenile Justice Act, be it narcotics or POCSO. What is the purpose of the act? So would anyone like to volunteer? Juvenile Justice Act को object से क्यों? What do you think is the object? Anybody? Yes, sir. You don't have to feel awkward that, oh, my answer might sound silly or, you know, I might sound like I don't know anything. Don't feel like that. We are all in the learning process. Okay? So whatever you feel, you speak it out because what you ask or what you see might be something that the other person might have wanted to know or ask, you know. So anyways, if you see the title of the act, that itself will tell you what it is about. The main purpose of the act is to care and protect children. The act title will tell you what we are supposed to do under the act. You know the point. So the Juvenile Justice. So it is evident in the title of the act itself and the preamble, which says that we must nani or like care garnu paryo. So we have to not only care and protect, we have to see that there is, we have to ensure their proper development, right? Development, treatment, and then again there are certain sections of children who will need social reintegration because of the certain circumstances that they may fall into. They might be required to be reintegrated into society. So different circumstances are envisaged under this act. अब यो act चाहिँ हामी सबैजना आफ्नो आफ्नो एरियामा चाहिँ how can we do this? How can we achieve this object? And the main thing is whether you be a probation officer, whether you are a chairman, whether you're the children's court, whether you're a JJB member. every time we deal with a child under this act, we must do it in a how?
In the interest of the
In the
child.
best interest.
Best interest of the child. How best interest of the child? Exactly, yes. Very good. So it's with the best interest of the child and in a child-friendly manner. Main thing is to do it in a child-friendly manner. That you must underline, no matter what you do, no matter where you go. As soon as you come into contact with a child, this has to be underlined. It has to be in a child-friendly manner, right? So, we talk about child, you know. So what are the different kinds of children that come under the Act? Anyone? You all are dealing with so many kinds of children, no? When we say child, everybody understands that a child is under a certain age, under certain circumstances. So can any of you tell me what kind of children you all have interacted with?
Runaways,
Yes,
abandoned,
yes,
what's like, ill treated.
very good, yes. There are so many, you know, Tamako. So over here you will see that there are different definitions in the Act itself which gives you these different kinds of children that you will come into contact with and who are required to, and who will obviously come under the Act, you know, juvenile justice, care and protection. Now, who are these children who need care and protection? So, like you have said, number one is under section 2(1), abandoned child. All of you, I think, know who's an abandoned child. Somebody who's from the job itself, you know, abandoned. Who abandoned you? Parents they abandoned you know, or adoptive parents or guardians, whoever. Let's hold you. And there are so many children like that, isn't it? So abandoned child. Now section 212 says, child who has not completed 18 years, obviously that comes under POCSO also, any child below 18. Then you have child in conflict with law, a term which all of us are so familiar with. Who is a child in conflict with law? Any child who is accused of any offense or any wrongdoing, you know, and who has not attained the age of 18, that is a child in conflict with law. Then, juvenile justice, care and protection, you know, who are the other children besides these? Who don't have a place to stay, who don't have a home, who are found working in contravention of labor laws, who are obviously being misused, so to say, you know, child labor, so many circumstances, beggars. And then there is another category, even if they are living in a home, even if they are with parents. See, it says a child who resides with a person who, whether a guardian of the child or not, and such person has injured, exploited, abused, neglected the child. A child may have a roof over his head. A child may have a guardian or somebody looking after the child, supposedly looking after the child, but the child may not be looked after properly. The child may be subjected to beating. The child may be starved, not given proper means. The child may be deprived of education. I know that, so these are the different categories. Or every time you threaten the child, you are marsu, pitsu, you know. So, or the child might be living with somebody who is into criminal activities and being exposed to so many of these illegal activities. So these are the different kinds of children that will be covered under this Act. Now, again, there might be children who are living with their parents but who are not fit. They might be alcoholics, they might be drug abusers, isn't it? So such children will need care and protection. So likewise, there are different categories. I mean, I can go on, but you're familiar. If you see the Act, you will find that throughout you will find different categories of children. Every time you come into contact with any child, during the course of your duties, some kind of child will come into contact with you, you know, so you will see under which category this child falls. Or child might be an orphan also, You know? So these are the children that will need care and protection of somebody who might be into child marriage. Although in Sikkim, you know that in India there are certain states, because of their preference for male children, that the girl child population is really low, so they have no brides. They don't get any brides. So now this has given rise to a new form of crime in India. They are human trafficking pura hunदैछ. So they are going to other states, especially tribal areas, especially vulnerable areas, tribal areas, backward areas, हैन, त्यहाँबाट luring, हकाएर भए पनि, ढाँटेर भए पनि, threaten गरेर भए पनि, चोरेर भए पनि, kidnap गरेर भए पनि, they are getting girls and trafficking them and forcing them into marriage. And they are getting married off in these areas to much older men, to people who are much older than them, obviously. Forced marriage, and most of them are children. And this is a completely new type of scenario that's coming up. This is a new kind of crime that now human trafficking units are grappling with. So this is another form of, this is another area where you have children who are in need of care and protection, children who are forced into marriages, Now the other thing is we are talking about children, who this kind of child, that kind of child, and we are talking about their care and protection. Who do you think needs to protect them and care for them? Anyone? हाम्रो नानी छ हैन, तपाईहरुको नानीहरु छ. Who cares for them? Society. First, very good society, but first, where is the child? Family. You start with your family. First is the family, But like we discussed, there are so many children, despite having a family, they need care and protection. So when I say anybody, you whoever, somebody will, but everybody, they have a social duty, to take care of the children. Then after that, who is there? समाजले पनि याद गरेन रे, they know this child is begging, they know यस्तो आमा बाबु मत्तु छ, दिनरात कुटपिट हुन्छ त्यो घरमा. The गाउँलेज are doing nothing about it. बिचारा भन्दै त्यतिकै छोड्छ हैन. So समाज also say doesn't bother. Then who has to look after the children? NGO, government. Exactly. NGO, then we are saying government, no? So the state. It is an obligation on the state. The constitution also says it is a constitutional duty of the state to look after the children. But I mean the state भन्दाखेरि state cannot be everywhere. So who represents the state? Exactly. So all of you are there. So you are the eyes, hands, ears for the state, who, if the other categories have failed, then it is your bounden duty to take care of the child, because you have been given this very, very responsible task. The family has failed, society has failed, So it is your duty now to take care of the child. So then how do you take care of the child? You know that you represent the state, you know your chairperson, very prestigious post, you know your member of Juvenile Justice Board, very important for children. Probation officer, very, very, very important for children, because you're almost on a daily basis you're interacting with children, like the other members. Every one of you have such an important task. तपाईँहरुको task चाहिँ के गर्नुपर्छ? अब तपाई as chairperson, what is your duty?
Give care and protection.
Give care and protection how?
Best interest of the child.
Okay.
Talk with the child, interview the child, the best interest of the child. Foremost thing is the child should be with the family. But if the family is not able to do, we shift the child to foremost thing is safety and protection.
Very good. Anybody else? Anyone? As probation officers, what do you do?
We try to reintegrate the child
can share your experiences. So formality case I
The
mean.
child to the child care institute and see that your education continues.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else? Want to say anything? You can say anything which you feel is part of your duty, what you do while dealing with the children, no? So basically everybody knows that you have to act in the best interest of the child, and everybody knows. But the thing is that how do you act in the best interest of the child? What do you do when a child is brought before you immediately? You know you have to act in the best interest of the child. How?
We see too that we are given a proper education, and after they reach the age of 18 or they reach maturity, we have to help them reintegrate in the society. But then here what I see is we will emphasize on education.
Basically emphasize on education.
Yes, ma'am. But then what I feel is I think we should also emphasize on capacity building, so that after the age of 18 they can immediately get into some work or job and start earning themselves, which we lack here.
That's very good because you're thinking into the long-term development of the child, welfare of the child. But before all that, the main thing is, तपाईँलाई एउटा child certainly how do you start? No. So here you have provisions in the Act which specifically lays down your duties. CWC को duty के हो, probation officer को के हो, chairperson को के हो, हैन? Juvenile Justice Board member को के हो. So now each step is spelled out for you. Once the child is brought before you, neglected child will be के गर्नु पर्ने. Child in conflict, you will के गर्नु पर्ने. You know the bigger picture, larger picture is this best interest of the child, so social reintegration. Must see that his education is not hampered, right? But when the child is first brought before you, yeah. So now here you have, so you must know where you get all these duties from, where you derive all your powers from, isn't it? You're not just acting in the best interest of the child because you feel you want to. That's very good, you want to. But other than that, the Act ले पनि तपाईलाई duty दिएको छ नि त. Act ले पनि तपाईलाई certain powers दिएको छ. हैन? So of course when you have this slide is just to see that these are the different agencies of the state who are there to protect the child, like the child welfare officer, CWC, child welfare police officer. Then you have the SGPU, the child protection unit, Juvenile Justice Boards, all of you, child welfare committees. Then of course you have the children's courts. Then now here we come, qualifications. Because it's such a responsible post, such a big responsibility, that the people who are put into these boards, selected as members, are required to have certain qualifications, certain background, certain understanding, so that you, like you keep saying, so that the board or the members act in the best interest of the child. This is so, all these qualifications, all these requirements are laid down just so that the state is assured that we have the right people in the right place with the right knowledge, so that the child will get the best treatment from these people, such as the members of the board. So, like the composition and qualifications, there should be one or more committee in each district which we have in place, isn't it? Do we have it or not? Yes. Then number 2, it's on the recommendation of the selection committee, which all of you have been done. It's on the recommendation of the committee. Then of course, above the age of 35, at least 7 years experience working with children in the field of education or health or welfare or a practicing professional with a degree in child psychology or psychiatry or social work, all of y'all, because y'all are found very qualified in your respective fields, so that is why you have been picked up, Pamela. And this is why you have been picked up. You must know why you've been picked up, how you've been picked up, isn't it? And you must know, Papa Lakina, because there are certain requirements, alright? So you must work towards it. So, or a retired duty officer, or then you must know, how many terms are kati somehow? 2 terms, but not consecutive, not continuous. Then it says, then you, I wanted to ask you, were you all given training after your appointment?
Some of us want.
Immediately after training, appointment, no. So yeah, so this is the purpose. You understand? You cannot just sit on your board without training. Because how are you expected to know your duties? Isn't it? You are the selected fine. Board ma bosnu bhayo, nani ta liyo. Ke garnu? Koso garnu? You know the larger picture very good, the best interest of the child, social reintegration, all that. But that is your target. Now to reach the target, you have to know the way. How do you know the way? The Act will tell you. That is why it is so important for all of you to be trained. And training, there is only so much that we can give you, because so much you learn on the field itself, with practical circumstances, with each facts and circumstances of each case. But other than that, I would advise all of you, kindly keep an act with you, all of you. Juvenile Justice Act in Raknos, make it your handbook. Because Act by Kapaiko at the back, how many of you are aware what comes after the Act?
Yes.
Exactly. The rules will be a handbook. The rules will tell you, esto circumstances ma ke garnu. Sometimes you are stuck. Nani bhagyo homework. Kaha janu? Koso garnu? Ke garnu? The rules will tell you what to do. Probation officer will have a practical problem with the child. Bhagyo nani ta esto garyo. Heri badmas garyo. Koso garnu? Ke garnu? Rules will tell you what to do. Understand? So there's only so much in the training that we can tell you. We can give you the broader picture, but always turn to the rules. Any circumstance you're faced with during the course of your interaction with children, or while dealing with any case, or you have a particular case law, the rules have tried to bring under it as many circumstances as possible which will help you. You can ask your colleagues, you can ask other board members, but this will show you the way. The rules will show you what to do next, where to go next, who to go to, what to write. Because when I say what to write, after the rules, what do you have? There are so many forms. So many forms, isn't it? Dunia bhar ko forms. And we look at it and say, that is what is going to help you. It will make your life so easy, your work so easy. For everything there's a form to be filled up. I think when he knows that very well, no? Everything. You must be wondering, no, what to do. There's a form. All you have to do is, because you know all the details, fill up the form. I won't tell you your form is this, this form is that. I know because there are so many of them. But at random, say you pick out any form. So at random, I opened one page. It says Form 25. It comes on every form, by the way, is related to one of the rules. Your Form 25 KO. I will read it out to you. Even I don't know what is Form 25. There are so many forms, no? So just by way of example, Form 25 is certificate declaring the child legally free for adoption. Now, child parents are surrendered, you have to give it for adoption. Now, what is to be done? What to write? So there's a form for you. You certify that the child is free for adoption. Now, who will certify it? 19. So you turn to the rule. It says Form 25, Rule 1929. No? Do any of you all have this act? I think can you ask for the barracks and juvenile justice? Just by way of example, now actually 1929. Rule 19 says what? Procedure for inquiry. So the whole chapter deals with procedure in relation to children in need of care and protection. The entire procedure is laid down. अब तपाईलाई form पछाडि छ हैन, form will refer to a rule. If you just turn to the rule, तपाईले always keep this with you, the act with the rules. Sometimes you have just the act, like this one has just the act, it doesn't have the rules. So try and get the bare act which has the rules with you, because always it will refer to the rules. And rules ma you will get the procedure. Procedure ma it will lay down step by step. It will tell you what to do. For example, about your rule 19 ma. Just by way of example, and production before the committee. Immediately about. It starts with step 1. नानीलाई कमिटीको अगाडि लियो. What is the committee required? Rule 19 will tell you step by step. Alright? So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is keep this as your handbook. Whether you're a probation officer, whether you're a CWC member, whether you're the chairperson, I don't know, whether you're the case worker, whether you're the SGPU, everything is laid down for you. Every step is laid down for you. This can you should not worry कि I don't know, मलाई त appoint गर्यो, but I don't know what to do, how to do. A probation officer के गर्नुपर्ने हो, हैन? अब before you were appointed as probation officer, I mean after you were appointed as probation officer, what is the first reaction? You are very happy, obviously. Then what is the second reaction? What is the? के गर्नुपर्ने? I don't know. हैन, probation officer भने के हो? What is our duty? त्यस्तो भयो होला नि हैन तपाईले? Or did you not know? Did you not feel that? भयो? भयो हैन? Obviously, हामी पनि त अब when we studied law अरे हैन? Then we sat for the exam, pass भयो, judicial officer भयो, very happy. First time case आउँदा, now I don't know what to do. It's very natural. You're not so. Nobody is born with the knowledge of the job that they're going to take on. Everybody has to learn, isn't it? And how do we learn? Because it's laid down for us. After you become appointed as probation officer, it starts with who is a probation officer. So my advice to you is, I'm not going to tell you probation officer will you know, or CWC chairman, you're supposed to do this, that. I'll just give you the larger picture. That act will tell you definition now. Who is a probation officer? You must know what is your definition. Who is a member? What is the chairperson? First you must know your own definition. Then you must know the definitions of your other stakeholders. Because as chairperson, alone you will not work if you want to work under the Act. You have to work with the other members of the board. You have to work with the Juvenile Justice Board. You have to work with the case worker. You have to work with the probation officer. You have to work with the police. You know? You're not all branches of the same tree. The tree is the care and protection. Under your shade, the children will be protected and cared for. All of you are part of that tree. All of you are branches. under whom you will make sure that the child will be safe. So you cannot work in isolation. Miss Wendy alakai in not I'm not bothered about what the other caseworker is doing or what the chairperson says or what the police is doing. I will just make sure I will fill my forms and I will fill my reports properly and then on. You have to work in coordination. Because for you to be an effective member or for you to be an effective board, you have to work with the caseworkers or all the other stakeholders because you need their feedback, you need the reports, For the probation officer, board orders of what are the directions of the board? You need to know that. You cannot work in isolation. As chairperson, you must know what is the SGPU saying. Have they done their duties properly? SGPU ले नानीसँग interact गर्दाखेरि rules अनुसारले त्यो नानीलाई के भन्छ ह्यान्डल गरे कि गरेन? Isn't it? That is your duty to oversee all that. Isn't it? So it is very important that you work in coordination. Alright? So make sure, be curious. यसको report के हो? केसवर्करलाई बोलाएर सोधौँ न, how is the child doing? Caseworker with SGPU, उनीहरूले first पक्रिँदाखेरि यो कसरी ह्यान्डल गर्यो के हो? Isn't it? So all these rules and procedures are laid down. Of course, these are one very important thing about the members. Sometimes the committee cannot be sitting all the time, isn't it? You will not be sitting. So what happens? What do you do at that time? And the child is brought. The child is required to be produced before the committee. Yeah, at least single members. So this is what. At least one member of the committee shall always be available, accessible, to take cognizance of the matter, isn't it? Because it's an emergency, I know. And you have to be able to issue directions. And how will you issue directions if you don't know what are your duties? Isn't it? So it's very important for you to go through the provision and see what is my duty. Because immediately you might be the single member available. All your other members might be off on holiday. अस्ति भोलिको छुट्टीमा लिएको भए के गर्ने? एउटा अर्डर त लेख्नु पर्यो, डाइरेक्सन त लेख्नु पर्यो, हैन? So you must be able to know what kind of directions you can or cannot pass. And as single member, if you're the only member, you have to pass that direction, isn't it? Because it's an emergency. So, to issue the necessary directions to the special juvenile police unit, because later on, SGPU will bring the child before you, isn't it? So, and shall draw up monthly duty roster of the committee. That is why you should have a roster. At random, who will you know? Committee members are there, but supposing there are 3 of you, you do not know whether you are the single member or not. You do not know. What if all 3 of you are out? So that is why the rules say that for this purpose, chairperson of the committee will draw up a roster. It is for you to make sure that at least one member is available. अब अस्ति यो के भन्छ होली what was the other holiday? Yeah, say for example, Losung, Christmas, लामो holiday हुन्छ नि हैन तपाईं. As chairperson, before the holidays come, you must make sure that you have your roster, so that nobody is in a fix. Now the chairperson को माथि आउँछ ला you do not make a roster. There's nobody around. Where will the SGPU go? बिचारा नानी लिएर कहाँ कुद्ने अब? So that is why it's very important that you draw up a monthly roster of the committee members who shall be available and accessible every day, including on Sundays and holidays. And the roster shall be circulated in advance to police stations. अब तपाईहरुको मात्रै बीचमा सर्कुलेट WhatsApp मा है त्यस्तो छ है म चाहिँ बाहिर जाँदैछु भनेर हुँदैन. It must be available with the police stations. Why? Because SGPU should know, हैन? Oh, Bhagavan is not there, Nani, I have to go here. They will not waste time. Isn't it? Because everything is time bound. 24 hours to go, And the roster shall be circulated in advance to police station, the CJM, and now we don't have Chief Metropolitan Magistrate, the district judge, the district magistrate, the board, child protection unit, and SGPU. Mane, all the stakeholders should know, so that everybody will know that this person is available. It's like this, even for judicial magistrates. A judicial magistrate or they are supposed to be on duty 24 hours because a person can be arrested at any time, isn't it? But within 24 hours, police will पक्रेपछि त magistrate को अगाडि त मान्छेलाई हाजिर गराउनै पर्यो to say that look, we arrested and he is here, well and fine. So give us further orders to put him behind bars or take him to the jail or keep him in the thana or send him to the hospital. He is not well, but they need orders. And to do that, they have to produce the person, isn't it? But this no like Lasu holidays, and you know that courts sometimes get special vacation when they're winter month, you know. Everybody is out. But we always have a roster. It's prepared if in December, January, monthly, winter vacation. Beginning of December, my nicklinsa. Our roster will come out because everybody will say that period, every district judge will give in my district these many magistrates are available from this period. So next from 1st January till 31st January, every day is covered in blocks. 1 week this one, 1 week this one, 1 week this one, 1 week this one, till up to the district judge. Everybody's roster is prepared. Then it's sent to the High Court. It is accepted, or if any changes are to be made, it will be made. Then Thapera, it is circulated to all the police stations and all the courts, and it is put up in our website. It is put up on the notice boards, so that anybody who needs to be produced before the courts, or anybody who wants bail, or anybody who wants an order from the court, emergency भयो मलाई इन्जम्सन मेरो घर तोड्न आँटिसक्यो किबा मलाई किनेवाला मालिकले निकाल्न आँटिसक्यो I need an injunction, I need order of the court. Court छुट्टीमा छ भने where will you go? When they look at the roster, they know, oh, I can go to this court. This court is open for this. So likewise, तपाईहरुको पनि very important that you must have a roster. तपाईहरु गर्नुहुँदैछ आइसम्म गर्नुहुन्छ नि. So it's very important, alright, especially when you know holidays are coming up. Do this so that सबैजनालाई you will be ढुक्कै हुन्छ कि emergency-मा चाहिँ at least this arrangement has been made भनेर. So then the next thing is on working days at least a minimum of 6 hours committees have to sit. Alright. Unless, of course, there are certain districts like North. How many cases do we have?
Not much, but we do have cases which comes up to me every day.
So, unlike other cities, fortunately for us, we don't have that kind of tendency where the committees are required to sit every day. You don't have to sit every day. Yeah, I mean, you're there every. I mean, you sit every day, but you don't have cases every day, isn't it?
Almost.
Least, yeah. Least of many of the Gyalshing company, I was in, but like every day, you don't keep getting cases. In a day, maybe you'll get 1, 2, 3, but not more than that, maybe 5 at the most. But you won't get like 20, 30, like in the cities. Cities, there are the action manani, they are like, it's like a train station. Let go. It's like that, no? So that's why they have kept this minimum working hours. 6 hours now, lost nahi parcha bhanne. That's why. But here it is not so necessary, alright? Then the next thing is that. Okay, so now what the committee is required to do? It says, no, information payo, nani is in need. Then what do? You immediately reach out to the child or and board a sitting in your place, I know. Then okay, I was telling you, no, what are your functions and duties? Like I was saying, there's a form for everything, even for the committee also. says section 30, if you look at the act, section 30 will give you, it will actually before section 30 and going to section 10. When a child in conflict, now everybody is in place, when a child in conflict with law, very familiar with this term, isn't it? When a child in conflict with law is produced before you, what do you do first? There is a section. The section will tell you what to do. You know, so that is section 10. Section 10 will tell you the apprehension of child alleged to be in conflict with law. Alleged. Well, listen, they will use the word alleged. We are not saying apprehension of child in conflict with law. Alleged माने उलाई आरोप लागिरहेछ. It गर्यो होला. Not proved. But yeah, he is caught in a circumstance where he is in conflict with law. Later the Juvenile Justice Board will decide whether indeed he committed a crime or not or whatever, you know. So he is alleged to be. So for this, the state government, it says the state government must make rules for child in conflict with law. And the 11 says, role of person in whose charge, the child is placed under the charge of somebody. You know, that is section 11 will say. Role of person in whose charge child in conflict of law is placed. So who is this person? It can be any person there. Axel. Any person in whose charge a child in conflict of law is placed shall, while the order is in force, have responsibility. Now it could be the caseworker, or for that time being it could be the SGPU, you know, or immediately it could be the home. Now he or she has or the person has the responsibility of taking care of the child during such period that there is an order to say that for this period, for 2 days, you look after this. Or it could be the guardian also, isn't it? What do you say? Place it in the custody of the parents, isn't it? Give it to the guardian or send it to the home, isn't it? So until such period, the child will be under the care of that person or place. Okay, then what do you do when they are produced and then they ask for bail? Supposing it's a non-bailable offence, murder warrant, what do you do? What kind of orders do you pass? JGB को अगाडि supposing any JGB members? कस्तो normally कस्तो order pass हुन्छ? तपाईले produce गर्नुहुन्छ नि हैन? Probation officers, have you all produced any child and then the child has asked for bail?
We have asked for surety.
What कस्तो boardले कस्तो order pass हुन्छ?
Boardले SR लागेको छ. खास गरी social meeting report.
Section 12 of your act is के भन्छ भने नि, when any person who is apparently a child, हेर्दाखेरि नै अब apparently means हेर्दाखेरि नै is a child or he or she is a child, है? Any person who is alleged, माने उसलाई allegation लागेको छ हैन, उसले एउटा he has committed an offence, be it bailable, be it unbailable or non-bailable, sorry. Supposing a child, it appears to be a child, उसले अब यसले गर्यो भनेर पक्रेर लियो अरे हो, is apprehended or detained by the police, brought before the board. Such person notwithstanding, it says notwithstanding anything, CRPC मा जेसुकै लेखोस्, हैन? यस्तो नानी प्रोड्युस भयो भने चाहिँ shall be released on bail, mandatory. नानीलाई छोड्नै पर्छ. The board cannot pass an order saying no, keep him under custody. Be it bailable, non-bailable. The child has been shall भन्यो भने चाहिँ के हो? It's mandatory. May भन्यो भने चाहिँ you have the discretion. होइन राख्नु भने. But if it says shall, you have to release. Oh? It says No matter what the other laws say, if it appears to be a child, नानी हो, यसो हेर्दाखेरि पनि नानी जस्तो देख्यो भने चाहिँ the board shall release, the child shall be released on bail with or without surety. Surety पनि परेन. अब normally court मा के हुन्छ? Normal court मा चाहिँ if we find that he has surety, I mean he is from here, भाग्ने chance छैन, उसको बाबुआमा यही छ, उसको जग्गा जमिन यही छ भनेर courtले sometimes will say okay, personal bond मा छोडिदिन्छ. Or if they say like एकदमै बदमास छ पहिला पनि यो मान्छेले, or what you can do is place the child under supervision of a who? Exactly. So there is where you come into the picture. So important. Understand? Because the child might not have a surety. Child might not have a guardian. Boardले त छोड्दै अब, boardलाई त कर लाग्छ छोड्नु. So then you come into the picture, and probation officer is very important. From stage 1. From stage 1. You don't come into the picture much later. And produce हुने बित्तिकै go probation officer. Because sometimes the child might be from West Bengal. Or the child might be from Zango and produced in say Nancy. Where will the child get a surety? अब Zango कहाँ जंगल बीचमा the parents might be there unreachable. फोन पनि लाग्दैन. कसले भन्नु? So then what happens? Nancyको probation officer will be placed responsible. It will come under your care and protection. You know? So this is from the very initial stages only. That is why everybody has to vote in coordination. About SGP will bring the child. It will come before the board. Board को मान्यो भने SGP will like पक्रिने बित्तिकै who gets information? CWC will get information, isn't it? CWC has to be informed. The rules say, पक्रिने बित्तिकै, I think when what do you do? When do you get information? From whom do you get information? Supposing a child is what?
Police themselves inform us.
Exactly. पक्रिने बित्तिकै, the act says duty is cast on the police. Immediately police has to inform whom?
They inform the DCPO and the CWC. They write an invitation.
Yes. And
DGP.
and
DGP.
and DGP and
CWC.
very important. Some you are missing out a very important thing in this. Nanaji Kusko. Have to inform the parents. तपाईँको नानी पक्रेर ल्याउँछ है, हैन? First, what did I tell you that? First responsibility कसको? So immediately you inform family, then police को हैन, family, then society को छ, अरु family छैन भने who is next? Then CWC, then the state को हैन? Who are there? All of you. All of you get information, isn't it? So when information पाइसक्यो, what is the next step? नानीलाई छोड्नु कि नछोड्नु? हैन? So then, board has to release, isn't it? Board will not say, okay, you are on bail, go. कतिदिनले छोडिदिनु पनि भएन, हैन? So, it will make sure that child is placed. Surety छैन भने what to do? So, either the probation officer or the home in charge, somebody will be placed with the responsibility, given the responsibility of taking care of the child till the matter is decided by the board. This interim period, the child will not be neglected. It is all of your business to make sure that the child is protected. Immediately from stage 1, police को अगाडि ल्याउने बित्तिकै police को duty सुरु हुन्छ. Not to act against the child, but to make sure that till the matter is resolved, the child is cared for and protected. Be it a child in conflict with law, be it a child who is accused of rape or murder, because even children have been accused of such things, heinous crimes, isn't it? So, okay, supposing a child is accused of, say, murder. नानीहरु खेल्दै थियो, त्यहाँ झगडा पर्नु थाल्यो ठुलो केटाले चाहिँ ढुङ्गा टिपेर पक्कै हिर्कायो द अदर चाइल्ड डाइड एट द स्पट पुलिसले उठायो So what happened? Is a child in conflict with law? Obviously, पुलिसलाई भन्यो मान्छेहरू कुदेर गएर थाना भन्यो ला यस्तो भन्यो एसजिपियू गयो पुलिस गयो यसो हेऱ्यो oh they are children. So who comes into the picture immediately? SGPU, no? Police, normal police cannot handle such cases, isn't it? So who comes into the picture? SGPU. So SGPU under the as per their duties, they will now start handling this case. Then what does it do? SGPU will then inform, I know. Sorry?
Will like get informed of
JGB.
Right.
Whoever they need to inform, they will inform. Now, very important thing. Procedure in relation to children in conflict with law. I'm basically trying to concentrate on children in conflict with law because the others say for surrendered children, all that, you all know the procedure. But those who are in conflict with law, it's more important because all of you all have to act more in these fields, I think, no?
We are not much involved in that.
So what do you?
It's the business.
We are in child
You
need of
only-
care and protection.
Yeah.
But herein, we are not involved. The minute there's a child in conflict with law means this is also a child in need of care and protection. It is not that only children who are surrendered, only children who are ready for adoption, only children who have nobody, that you will look after them on Raina. Every child who is in need of care and protection, it is even a child in conflict with law can be a child in need of care and protection, isn't it? So what is the procedure in relation to a child in conflict with law? Immediately, what does supposing, for example, I gave you this incident, somebody has come to the thana. What does the thana do? So FIR lodge गर्न आयो नि त मान्छे होइन what do? They write an FIR होइन FIR लेख्छ पुलिसले anybody? के भन्नु? Correct. So pre-production action of police and other agencies, not just the police, it says other agencies also. This is, please note section 8. It's in chapter 3 of the JJB Act. Section 8, very important. No first information report shall be registered except where a heinous offense is alleged to have been committed by a child. Now, manche maryo means it's a serious offense, so yes, first information can be registered. But if झगडा पर्यो त्यसै के भन्छ बदमास गर्यो उसले यस्तो के भन्छ चोर्यो no first information report. Police cannot register a first information report. So what do the police do? Exactly. No, so good. I'm so happy that we are well first. So they will make a general diary entry. Why do you think no first information report is registered?
Any student future of the child.
It's not a heinous crime. But why? Why just a GT? I don't know, famous words and GT entry, in a GT. What do you think?
I think it's just to save the child from
Exactly. What you all are again volunteering in the best interest of the child, so that there is no record of the child, no. There is no formal entry of the child. There is no formal report of the child registered. What is a FIR? First information report, which is registered, which is written down, you know. So that there is no like formal report of a child registered in the thana, which is for the long-term best interest of the child. So these are little things where, you know, in every aspect from the very beginning, the act says we must act here. Child को favor मा छ, ती सबको child को favor मा जाने. Unless एकदमै child ले चाहिँ डरलाग्दो अपराध गर्यो भने हैन, डरलाग्दो crime गर्यो भने मात्रै you start the normal police procedure. Otherwise you deal with it in a child friendly manner. Try to protect the child. So then what happens after that? When a child alleged to be in conflict with law is apprehended by the police officer concerned shall place the child immediately under the, like I said, SGPU, isn't it? यानी SGPU ले अब के गर्छ? So now here is an entire, we don't have any SGPUs here, is it? But chapter 3 ma under section 8 2 ma चाहिँ entire procedure is given. What the SGP is supposed to do. SGPU लाई अब जिम्मा दियो नानी पुलिसले त लु जुभेनाइल रहेछ हामी हेर्दैन लु here is to take care of the child. So the SGPU will number 1 inform, like we said, parents and guardians, number 1. Number 2, probation officer. First parents, then probation officer, then child welfare officer or the case worker. Do we have case workers? We have no?
BCP.
We have. Then the child welfare officer who will accompany the SGPU. Oh, they will now start working with the SGPU, no? Because the SGPU will have an investigation. All along what happens is either the parent or the probation officer, SGPU, now case worker has to start. And at each stage, it is your duty to ensure that the police do not put the child under any kind of pressure. How? The police officer apprehending a child alleged to be in conflict of law shall, number 1, procure, and I would not procure here, they produce violence. What is the first step? You must ensure that lockup ma haल्नु हुँदैन, हैन? Then must ensure that the child is यो भाग्छ बाँध्ने हैन fettered. अब आजकल त we have no handcuffs, you know that handcuffs are banned in India, no? We don't use unless एकदमै there is apprehension even for grown up के भन्छ criminals, adult criminals also handcuffs are not allowed unless एकदमै police make a request कि he's भागिबस्छ एकदमै dangerous भने मात्रै, that also under very special circumstances handcuffs are allowed, otherwise not allowed. Not allowed at all. Young children ko case ma ta not at all. Forget handcuffs, any kind of fettering. Fettering mane bandnu kya? Doriले पनि बान्नु पाउँदैन. That's why you see no picture tira, news tira, accused are like police यस्तो हातले पक्रेर लान्दै गरेको हुन्छ नि. They catch them by the arm, हैन? या यसरी हात पक्रेर, because they are not allowed to use handcuffs or ropes, right? So the child must not be fettered in any manner. Oh, child लाई पक्रिने बित्तिकै what must you do? The child has to be informed. किन ल्यायो थानामा, किन चाहिँ SGPU को मुनि केस गर्दैछ? Child has to be informed. What is happening to him? Even a child has rights, no? And they have to inform the child of his child rights also. So this is stage 1. Then inform the child promptly and directly of the charges. के चाहिँ उसलाई के चार्ज लागेको छ? चोरी या murder या rape या abetment to all these crimes, हैन? Then also inform the child and child's parents immediately regarding the rights and privileges of the child under the Act, and the thanas. Now it is also your duty as probation officers, stakeholders, to see that every thana has the rights of the child displayed. All the thanas must have this. They must have this on display, all the rights of children. Then, if the child is so that if if the child is in need of medical care, then you have to inform the child key, and then provide medical care, appropriate medical care, assistance. And if you find that the child is a special child or not in a position to, or you don't understand the language, supposing Bengal ko nani liye re, none of us know Bengali, then what do we do? Exactly, so you need to make sure that the child is why an interpreter. So that the child knows what is happening. Somebody can communicate with the child, mainly so that the child will not feel intimidated. You know, डर हुँदैन child like आफ्नो भाषा बुझ्यो भने अलिकति हुन्छ नि हैन oh this is what is happening to me. So supposing a child is a lecture child and is not familiar with the other languages, try to get somebody who is able to speak the child's language too, mainly to make the child comfortable. You know, the child may speak other languages, but in case supposing the child is Suba and is fluent in, is comfortable speaking Suba language, and if you have somebody who is speaking your own language, naturally, immediately, psychologically, the comfort level of the child is increased, isn't it? Supposing यताको नानी बेङ्गलमा पक्रियो अरे, त्यहाँ नेपाली पुलिस नेपाली बोल्ने पुलिस भेट्यो भने automatically the child will be comfortable towards that policeman, isn't it? So this is the reason why. So make sure that you have an interpreter, or even if an interpreter is not available, if somebody is there who speaks the child's language, have that person next to the child, interacting with the child, to increase the child's comfort level. Alright? Then, very important, the police must make sure, all of you all must make sure that the child is not compelled to make any statement. No, भन त नानी के भएर छिटो भन त यहाँ हामी हतार छ तँ भनिहाल है. Not allowed to do that. Not allowed to put pressure on the child. Child cannot be forced to give a statement. Child cannot be forced to sign any statement. यहाँ चाहिँ प्रब्लम के हुन्छ भने नानी पक्रियो ल ल ल छिटो भनिहाल के भयो ल नडराउनु ल के हुँदैन तँ भनिहाल. That is what happens, isn't it? Even your, right? That because we are not trained, you know. So that is our first reaction. You can't blame anybody because we do not know that the rules say don't do this. But now you know better. कि नानी ल्याउने बित्तिकै how will you handle it? अन्त के भयो रे? कसो भयो रे? I find many times that is the reaction. The stakeholder or the case worker or the probation officer or the board member themselves are so shocked with the crime that they will, नानीसँग interact गर्दाखेरि कसो भयो रे? Well, when you react like that, you are transmitting your anxiety to the child, isn't it? त्यस्तो भन्दाखेरि you think the child will say यस्तो भयो भन्छ. The child will withdraw immediately. The child will clamp up. Child will not say a word. I think many of you must have experienced that, no? Child will not give you a single word. That is why number one, it's not written here. Number one, when you say child-friendly manner, number one, I've been working in the courts for almost like 30 years, more than 20 years. It is patience, right, children. You cannot push children. I've seen so many these are courts child witness also. The courts are bogged down in cases. बाहिर गवाई लाइन लागिरहेछ हैन. Like my God, I have to आज त अब कोर्टमा 8 बज्छ हैन. त्यति बेला त we didn't even have this vulnerable witness room deposition centers हैन. Nowadays of course कोर्टमा अलग्गै एउटा हुन्छ. त्यति बेला त बिचारा नानीहरु कठुमै गर्नु पर्थ्यो, because we did not have the infrastructure was not ready. अन्त त्यो नानीलाई के भयो Naturally, how will she? She was subjected to very harsh, अब के भन्ने एकदमै gruesome sexual acts by two persons who are much older. त्यो पनि गाउँकै आफ्नै देखिरहेको. That also people who are senior citizens. त्यस्तो घटना भयो त्यो नानीलाई. So it was something which was like unthinkable even in other circumstances. So the child would not open up, and the child चाहिँ कस्तो भइसक्यो psychological impact of child had become rebellious. Every symptom she was showing of being subjected to sexual offense. Child was rebellious, child was aggressive, child was foul-mouthed, हो. सबै अब यस्तो गाउँले पनि उसलाई पुरा रिजेक्ट गर्ने खालको क्या नानी यो बदमास छ यो नराम्रो बोल्छ यो यस्तो त्यस्तो. Child had become like that because the child was showing all the symptoms, of being victimized in such a manner. Anyways, उसको examination टाइममा बस्यो बोल्नु छैन नानी बोल्नु छैन. Then I said, okay, stop. Let the child off. We did not have a separate room, so I said, put the child in the chambers, in my chamber, let her be. Then I did some other cases. Then I sent someone to buy crayons or drawing book. Then I said, give it to the child just to relax her, no? कोठामा राखेर यसो चेम्बरमा राख्यो भन्यो. Then after some time I went to the chamber. उसलाई ड्रइङ गर्नु मनपर्छ भनेर मनपर्छ ड्रइङ गऱ्यो भनेर गरेँ. Then I just pretended क्या अब उसलाई याद नगरिकन अब काम गरिबस्यो. Then after some time I got up and I sat next to her in the sofa. And I said, के बनाएको भन्दाखेरि the child had drawn a picture of a house, मेरो घर हो. I said, oh, very good. यस्तो बाटो बनाएको मेरो children's drawing होइन मेरो स्कुल हो. I said, oh, स्कुल हो भनेर very good. Then she had drawn another house with a tree. She said, यो मेरो बोजूको घर हो. ए छेउमै हो भनेर अलिकति तल. Then she said, त्यो त अम्बकको रुख हो नि. मैले यहाँबाट झुन्डेर मर्नु पनि कोसिस गरेँ कि तर अम्बकको रुख त सानो हुन्छ नि होइन तर हाम्रै भाँच्यो सिसेर हो. And I said, किन why did you try to hang yourself? अन्त यो यहाँ माथि स्कुल जाँदाखेरि अन्त यो बाटोमा मलाई यो बाजेले अन्त यस्तो गरेँ कि त्यस कारण म त I did not want to go to school. So each time used to do that to me. So I felt so that traumatized that I didn't want to leave and I didn't want to tell my parents because बाजे होइन अब गाउँको बाजे चिनिरहेको बाजे अब nobody would believe me also. So I wanted to hang myself. And that is how the child expressed herself. Unfortunately, I could not take that as evidence because it was not in the bottom. But what of course, it's a good thing that conviction भयो, even the High Court upheld the conviction, so the persons are behind bars. But what I'm trying to tell you is that it is so important to be patient with the child, to make the child comfortable. This is what I'm saying, David. So be very careful. Even the Act says, I will not go into details of which section what, but the Act says that when you interact with the child, your tone also. The tone चाहिँ यस्तो गर्नु पर्यो कि अघि मैले भनेको छु कसो भयो नि. Make sure from your tone to your eye contact to your body language. In your body language, try to be calm itself. Try to make it child-friendly. It does not say do this, do that, but all of us will have to learn and try to adopt a calming, behavior, tone, आवाज, even when यस्तो रहेछ, try to be at the child's eye level this. No? I don't know, कतिजनाले तपाईले in the news you see or social media हेर्दाखेरि this British royal family, they have a lot of 3 children, no? And they say that every time the parents they interact in public when the children are अलिकति irritable हुँदा के हुँदा when the mother, Prince William or the wife, गर्दाखेरि you will see they always kneeling down and talking to the child, no? उनीहरू नानीहरूसँग गर्दाखेरि बुढा यसो गरेर they drop down to the level of the child. नानीले यसो होइन सानो नानीहरूसँग गर्दाखेरि यसो गरेर they don't look down on the child and talk. Why? Because psychology says that तपाईँ चाइल्डको आई लेभलमा छ भने चाहिँ चाइल्ड इज मच मोर रिसेप्टिभ, चाइल्ड इज मच मोर ओपन, तपाईँसँग तपाईँले भनेको पनि मान्छ. द्याट इज पार्ट अफ चाइल्ड साइकोलोजी अप्यारेन्टली. सो द्याट इज वाइ तपाईँहरू इभन इफ वेन यु आर इन्टरेक्टिङ विथ द चाइल्ड, अब उभिएर डोन्ट टक डाउन टु द चाइल्ड. इफ यु आर सिटिङ, इफ यु आर यु सुड नट बी यस्तो लेभलमा पुट द चाइल्ड डाउन एन्ड देन टक. इभन द जुभेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्डहरू होइन, तपाईँले एज प्रोबेसन अफिसरहरू नानीहरूसँग छ भने तपाईँ अल्गो चेयरमा बसेर या उभिएर यसो यताउता हिँडेर नभए सिट एट द आई लेभल अफ द चाइल्ड. Keep the child at your level or draw closer to the child. Of course, don't touch the child if the child is, if this is the situation where the child is scared and all that. But basically, in your language or the way you interact, try to make it such that the child feels comfortable with you, so that child will start trusting you. Then you will get the real picture. You will know. You will know. You will basically, as far as possible, you will get a clearer picture, and then you will know what you have to do. Then, of course, the case workers, you have to have background study of the child, isn't it? I think that's what you are doing, no? Try to background key to whether the parents are alcoholic, or abusing drugs, or socio-economically unstable, or maybe some distinct problem where they are being stigmatized by society, the family is ostracized. Child can be under so many different kinds of circumstances which is influencing the child's behavior. There may be so many causes. नानी त्यसै त बदमास हुँदैन. A very rare cases it is in their genes, or genetically child is like hyperactive हुन सक्छ, but no child is born बदमास, no? Because there will be some reason, उसको environment which is contributing to the child's behavior. So that is why it is so important for case workers, probation officers to understand first the background of the child and then deal with the child. Once you know its background is the you will automatically be different in your approach towards the child, isn't it? As we have TV just at one talking to save time, so that's what I'm saying. Tapale as boards and we place children under different cares, no? Our stay, overnight stay, sometimes. What kinds of stay do we have to do?
We have open the shelters, and then we have CCS.
So basically, the institution of Barphungpa, right? So what kind of institutions? Yes, we have.
We have special institutions. We have definitely. And we have other CCS.
So basically, one is as per the act. I will go legally, right? Under 69. Or the Act deals with institutional management of children. Now, when they don't go to the parents or to their home, तपाईँले institution, some kind of institution of पठाउनुहुन्छ नि होइन. Most of the children are there in these different kinds of homes like you're saying special.
She registered with DJ.
So these are the different kinds of stay of children in these institutions. One is a protective, protective. Then the other is overnight. Sometimes it's just overnight, no? Yes. And then one is rehabilitation, no? Rehabilitation stay. Now, overnight stay, what kind of order do you give?
We have a form called Form 18. It's a placement form. And in that we just write till further orders. Then after the child is produced before the committee, then we decide where the child has to be sent.
So when you say overnight, no, like this overnight stay, the section is very specific. It says 69B D, okay? So not B, D. D says the purpose of stay is to, this is overnight protective stay, okay? The purpose of the stay is to provide shelter, obviously, to the child, isn't it? And to prevent him from being kept overnight where? In the police station. The main thing is, नानी तो पक्रे अब कहाँ लानु हैन झट्टै त्यो एउटा कहीं राख्नु पर्यो. So Thana Madai under any circumstances cannot be kept in the Thana. So overnight, just for one night. Overnight means only for one night. Kya rakhnu हैन? So overnight stay, you can give the order. At any other, at an alternative place, not in the Thana, and such stay may be only after, now it specifies the time, after 2000 hours in the night till 1400 hours the following day. It cannot be before and beyond this period. After 20 hours, one will be 21. 8 till 2:40. Okay, this you must make sure that you adhere to this, right? And then of course when you have the different forms to fill up. Then for protective stay also you have a specific form, Form 41, no? Form 41 for protective stay. And it has to be signed by the board. Protective stay. It must be signed by the board, and a custody warrant has to be signed by the children's court. Because warrant, court has to sign all these things. So make sure that the children's court has the, the probation officers or whoever get the signature of the children's court, the warrant. Okay. Now about juvenile justice board or who is the bostakiri ni? What do you know about what is the procedure to be adopted? Let me just apprise you. Because there's a specific section which deals with sittings of the board. I'm just speaking at random here, so that you will have a general idea, because you'll have to keep going before the Juvenile Justice Board also, right? I'll give you an example. Recently, I forget the state, I think it was Bihar, right? Juvenile Justice Board बसिरहेको थियो. Juvenile Justice Board मा केस हुँदै थियो. अनि के भयो, the DC आयो. Looked around the case, entered the boardroom and said, what is happening here? Let me see the case papers and all. And the chairperson said, you are not allowed. Because who was the chairperson? Normally the judicial magistrate, isn't it? The magistrate said, you should not be entering the room. You are not allowed. The DC was very angry. How come I am the DC? They said, no. DC has no jurisdiction inside the board. You are not allowed. There was a big controversy and it was all over the news. I don't know, anyone? No? So there was a big thing about whether the DCs have the authority. DCs don't have the authority. Why? To enter the body. Enter the proceedings. Because the Act bars it. There's a specific section in the Act. जब नानीहरुको केस हुँदैछ The board, it says, the board shall ensure that no person or persons not connected with the case shall be present in the room when the case is in progress. No one who is not connected with the case. अब बोर्ड चल्दैछ कसको सिआई हरे म त सिआई आई क्यान लिसन टु द प्रोसिडिङ्स भनेर नट अलाउड टु स्टे or an advocate comes, oh, I'm appearing in the next case court. Case, after for case no, I'll be appearing for the thing. So I just sit in the courtroom, not allowed. So the DC and his team has no business to enter the proceedings. They are not connected in any way. DC may be a member of some committee which there are certain committees, isn't it? But that does not entitle the DC to enter the room and hear the case proceedings or find out what is going on or inspect the case papers. They can do so at other times. You can go and visit the premises and all that, but proceedings, man, why? Tell me why. The access, but why does the access? So that the child is not exposed to these things, so the child's privacy is protected. So again, in the best interest of the child. So that these things are done confidentially, isn't it? Everything that is done, everything that you do, everything that you write must never be such that it will harm the child or affect the child negatively in any manner. You should never do that. No matter what, no matter what, if you just keep this much in mind in all that you write, in all that you say, in all that you do, if you keep the overall, like you are always saying, the best interest of the child and child-friendly manner, you will not go wrong. You will never go wrong in whatever orders you pass or whatever act you do or whatever report you prepare also. Okay? So, there are so many procedures laid down, types of stays. Okay. Now we are talking about children in need of protection, children in need of care, What if the child is unruly? Even if the child is kept under the in an institution, or you've done your best for your child-friendly manner, you're dealing with the child and all that, you still have certain children who will be unruly. How do you deal with such children?
We normally refer them to psychologists.
For this also the Act has a provision. So this is what I'm saying. Every kind of situation, normally the Act this will guide you at every stage, especially probation officers, case workers. Complain it says manner of dealing with unacceptable behavior. This is in Rule 69 N. You can read it. It will really help you. Rule 69 N. The action taken shall be commensurate with the nature and degree of violation and the age of the child. अब एकदमै बदमास गरेर एक्सन त लिनु पर्यो के बिचारा भनेर यो छोड्नु पनि भएन हैन के गर्नु पर्यो So now to deal with such children first you have to consider नानी कति सानो छ the borderline case middle age or teenage take the age then you take the nature of the बदमासी के चाहिँ गर्नु act take that age act गर्नु पर्यो नि होइन एक्सन लिनु पर्यो एक्सन त लिनु पर्यो You cannot take action on a 17-year-old. You cannot take the same action on a 7-year-old. अब आपको नानीलाई झगडा परेर उसको हात खुट्टा भचायो या आपको नानीको पेन्सिल फुटाइदियो both actions cannot be treated equally, isn't it? So you have to consider the act and the age. Then what to do? You've considered both of it. आपके बदमाश नानीलाई के गर्नु पर्यो? Then it says, first, you give a formal warning, depending on the nature of the offense. You can give a formal warning. Second, the home के गर्न सक्छ assign task, like काम दिनु पर्यो, जिम्मा दिनु पर्यो, है? कि don't say punishment, you know. Now you have done this, I'm warn गर्यो, तर warning भएन नि. Okay, because you have done this, now today you assign this duty. Look, आज तिम्रो duty चाहिँ यो, whatever you want to give. आँगन बढाल्नु, gardening गर्नु, you fill the water flask, or give some assign some task. Money, so that you instill a sense of responsibility and duty in the child. So assign task. No? Then other thing is imposition in writing. Of shadow side, maybe this could be applicable in small children. Imposition writing, that means imposition writing when you are in school, detention class, you write on the board 100 times, I will not be naughty, I will not bunk class, or in your notebook, no. So imposition writing. Repeatedly writing, I will not do this, I will not do this. So these are ways of dealing with children. Right? Or for feature of privileges. Money, Sunday maybe they get to watch TV. But because you have been very naughty, this Sunday you will not get to watch TV with the rest of the children. Or his favorite game may be, or he or she favorite game may be playing badminton or TT or whatever it may be. Okay, today you will not get to do that. So, forfeit privilege. Certain privileges हुन्छ नि होम्समा हैन. So, आज चाहिँ तिमीलाई यो दिनु, this weekend you will not get to do that because you are not improving. So, forfeiture of privilege. So, privilege deny गर्नु पर्यो. Not forever, but certain period. So, probation officers or case workers or when you are interacting with the children, you can put this in your mind. So they will know. These are things that can happen to me. But if I'm good, and if I don't misbehave, then I can have a normal, comfortable stay in the home. But if I'm naughty, these things can be done to me, right? बदमास गर्दाखेरि तपाईले यो can say these are the things that can happen. But यो सबै गर्यो नि नानी एकदमै बदमास छ, still under no circumstances will the child be subjected to corporal punishment. नानी उठ्नु पाउँदैन, नानीलाई any circumstances. त्यो चाहिँ होममा you all have to stress. This is the way to handle unruly behavior. Tell them rule एडमा यस्तो छ. If they do that, everybody gets into trouble. Why? Because you're going against the act. You're going against the rules. You're not acting in accordance to the rules. So, your job as chairperson is to monitor these things. Your job as members and chairpersons is to make sure these things do not happen in the homes. You'll have to inspect, you'll have to see, Probation officers could duty to each one of you, all the members. So if a case comes, every one of us, including the children's court, will be responsible. Because we failed in our duty. Because all of us did not realize that the child is not supposed to be एकदमै बदमास भयो जति नै बदमास गरेर उठ्नु चाहिँ पाउँदैन भनेर चाहिँ it was not conveyed to the home in charge. Because the home in charge was supposed to do what? N 1, 2, 3, 4. Because N2 says no child will be subjected to corporal punishment or mental harassment. Now, after corporal punishment is mental harassment, including humiliation, which will affect the dignity of the child. Mane, ek to kutnu paine. Secondly, harass garnu paine, dabdi dinu paine. अहिले त मान्छे मारेको नानी हो, यो नानीसँग खेल्दै यस्तो, I mean, there are different ways. This is just an example. Homes are not supposed to do that. Anything, your nani, or you don't sit here with the rest of the children, nani or bigger son, alapai bas. It can happen. Very possible. If चाहिँ अलिक उता टाढो टाढो बस्छ ल, यिनीहरूसँग नबस्छ, यिनीहरूले बिगार्छ. Not allowed to do that. You understand? It's very important because these things happen in the homes. And why? Because they also do not have not been told. The rules do not allow you to do this. You understand? So it is very important because you all are getting in the training, you all are sensitized. You must at every stage, while inspection nanny or something, interaction with them, you must see that these things are not done. And even when you all are interacting with the children, no mental harassment. Don't say anything which will affect the dignity of the child. Even the nanny is okay dignity. Every person has his own dignity. A child will have his own or her own sense of dignity. And being an adult, we are not allowed to say anything. The nanny like self-esteem also. One ठुलो मान्छे, one board member, one case worker, probation officer, उहाँले भनेको चाहिँ साँच्चै नै म यस्तो गरेँ. Anything that mentally क्या तपाईँले negative बोलेर the child thinks that humiliation भयो. The child will start thinking आफ्नो self-esteem गर्छ. या उसको dignity-मा अलिकति उसलाई मन दुख्छ. We should not do that, right? Not only in the homes, every time the child is brought before you. No mental harassment. Corporal, of course, nobody will do, I know. But don't say anything that will lower the dignity of the child. A child may be produced before you 5 times. What will be your reaction at the 6th time? What is your normal reaction?
We ask, now what happened?
कति खेप आउने हो यहाँ हैन फेरि पनि आएको even me like अब कतिवटा ड्रग केसेस गर्छ हैन sometimes you have repeated सादामा आएको we become so familiar with them भगवान फेरि फर्केर आयो एकजना हैन maybe that is a wrong reaction of the court. Now, if it was a child done, not allowed. What will happen? Suppose nani आयो, तपाईको अगाडि 10 के बाद 5 nani your reaction will be like that, no, right? फेरि आयो. The child will become more defensive. के हुन्छ नानी त के हुन्छ जल्छ. आफ्नो पनि आउँछ. That is a child's reaction, isn't it? Or he might not say anything, but that resentment will build up. These people are supposed to look after me. मेरो लागि बनेको board, हैन? Why child protection? आजकल the children are very well informed. पहिला पो हामी जस्तो टाइममा लड्नु till we were almost 12, 13 years old, we did not know anything, हैन? Nowadays children are well informed. Why? Because awareness. There is so much awareness. They are very smart. So they'll say that. They might not say it. But they'll think, what protection? This is not the way they're supposed to deal with me. So you have to be very careful. And they're very sensitive nowadays, children, isn't it? They know that school not around paundaina, kutno paundaina. Then what they know that you are supposed to deal child friendly. You are not the only ones who are familiar with these words. It is all the naughty children who are very familiar with these words. So that is why be very careful in your dealing with the children. And not because they are partners, but because you might affect them in so many ways, at so many levels. That is why, again, I am saying, your reaction. तिमीले unruly behavior भएको मानिस दसैँ तपाईँको अगाडि ल्याउँछ. Be very careful how you react, your body language, your tone. Or it might help if you show more sympathy. You try to understand, you've come again, what is the problem actually? There must be a reason. Share it. What is the problem? The child might actually come out with the reason. This is what is happening. The child might actually be in need of some kind of protection. There must be a reason. The child might have a history of being sexually abused. You don't know. There may be so many reasons, but the child, अघि मैले भने जस्तो that पक्षको victim हुन्छ नि, the childले manifest गर्छ क्या, देखाउँछ in so many other ways. It might be the child को crying for help. It might be a child's way of trying to draw attention. See, I need help. Child doesn't know. The child is trying to communicate. The child is doing everything possible to draw your attention and seek your help. एकदमै बदमास गर्दैछ, किन गर्दैछ? There might be a root cause. Cause might be very different where it will be that यसको background यस्तो भएको छ. That is why, again coming back, case workers and all, we must do a background study. And I feel especially so when the children are ekdamai badmas. That is why you have to do a deeper home study, deeper case study. And that is why it's difficult, all of us are not clinical psychologists or child psychologists and all, but I feel nowadays it's much easier, no? Social media, there's so much information. Try on this, update on this, try to read about child psychology, try to understand similar cases. You interact with other colleagues, or probation officers, share stories. There is so much to learn. When we interact with you all, we learn so much. As chairperson, you will not know difficulties of the probation officer. As a probation officer, you will not know what is the difficulty of the juvenile justice court member or case related to. So it's very important, again, I say coordination. Talk to each other. Work with each other. Of course, the act is there, sections are there, every step by step. I will not want to add so many, but it will get boring for you. Step by step it is written. Probation officer will duty, each stage, but more, what is not written is every fact and circumstances bring new things. And when you share that, you learn more. And when you learn more, what happens? You are able to provide better care and protection for children. And that is the, to wrap up, main object of the act. Main objective is that no matter no matter as all stakeholders, you and me, and as stakeholders, our duty is to see that through the procedure, from the time the child is identified as a child in conflict with law or abandoned child or whatever kind of category of child, from stage A to stage Z, our duty at each stage is to see that the child does not at any stage feel he is not protected by the state, he is not being protected by the agencies which is set up for the child. A family later, now it is our duty. Okay, any questions?
question, I think we need help to talk.
From the corporate, how
Right.
do you?
Because when we approach the department for some certain things, that it is not taken very seriously. Right?
Department means the court.
No,
Means
the
that
women, as I mentioned earlier, as per the UN mandate, we are supposed to, like what we said, so we are supposed to rehabilitate the child and put the child into the society. You know. So then, only through education. Now, see, now what happens is now these children that we have in our homes, they're quite big. Some of them are in class 6 and they're already 18 years old. So there's a problem there.
Actually, for child education, like continuation of the child's education,
No,
must be
yeah,
very
no. The child gets some skill training.
aftercare.
After,
Because we don't
Here
bring
it's
aftercare.
like I was saying, coordination of very important. And why do we have a separate unit in the social welfare department for women and children? Because they are the vulnerable sections of society. You know?
Right.
So okay, here say it is another matter altogether that they don't have sufficient funds or they may be having sufficient funds. We don't know Central Bharatapati aid also, especially for children and all. And I understand that every district has a skill development for that.
Yes, we have
these
capacity
units.
building.
You know?
Yes, sir.
So in our interaction with the secretary of the department last year in November, I think, this thing was brought up. This is not just for children, but we are really talking about POXO victims also, because ostracized by the home, and so they are also children in need of care and protection. So similarly, there are other children also like this. So we have talked about this. In fact, they have said that if these children are identified and we are told about these children, we will impart training.
Now there is a problem now. This capacity building and the department are not communicating. So like, if these two departments can communicate with each other, or if the capacity building can send the department their schemes, they can.
I will make a note of this because at the next meeting I will bring this up so that because this is basically coordination about.
Right.
Mainly if they coordinate because it is not that the department doesn't know. Social welfare, because they have a separate section for child and children and women, they want to do it. They have the funds also to do, and they have the infrastructure also to do. Capacity building has the infrastructure, and every department. It is not that they don't want to do well in the department. Of course, there are some departments. Sometimes it so happens that they're not interested, but at some point, at some stage, every department also wants to show their good work, no? So we can work on that, and we can make sure that these two departments coordinate, and we can bring about something profitable. And I'm sure we can do that. And I will definitely make a note of this, and I will take it up with the concerned secretaries so that we can work out. Because in fact, just the other day also I was talking about again our POXO victims for rehabilitation. And because for the compensation also, how to utilize that effectively, we were trying to work out something. So I'm so happy that you brought this out. I will also include this. And other than that, there is a specific provision which says orders that can be passed by the committees for continuation of children's education. That I think you are not only aftercare. Sometimes they get involved in a case of a home marriage. Now the child, for example, East, the homes are all in Gangtok. Child might be from Roratham. Of course, now it's a different district, but the child might be from a remote, far-off area. Might have been going to school there. What happens? There's a break in the child's
Speak with the principal and
We transfer them here.
Yeah, so these are things that you can do to make sure that the child continues with the education and things like that. And in case this is not brought to the notice of the boss, provision officers, you must encourage the child. Members of what is the right to education, no? You must make sure that it has to carry on. So might be very happy. Because under the orders of the board and the state child is not interested in studying. But it is our duty to make sure that there is no break, continuity, no loss of education. So at every stage, all of us, it is not that, oh, what they pass, committee ले order pass गरेको छैन अन्त कहाँ पढाइ गर्छु उनीहरूको duty हो नि त. That's not part of our job. Don't think like that. It is your duty to apprise the committee, apprise the board. Order pass गर्नुहोस्, नानीको त पढाइ बिग्रिँदैछ. And judge is at the earliest so that the break is not too long in the education.
One more issue related to Aadhaar card. I think children under strict situation, there was one order passed that the child committee can identify which youth's Aadhaar card are not there, and then we have to
Inform Jasmine.
inform through DCPU. We went to DSME, but in DSME they showed us one notification. It showed that you should have a COI to have an Aadhaar card.
No, that is very wrong.
So
What do we do for an other
They
class?
showed us a notification from the chief secretary that you have to have an COI for this. Then now, how do we help these children? We have moved the file to our department also, but I don't know why it's stopped. We are unable to help these children.
What is the Muslim? Right? Just go copy it. You copy with a letter, you can give it to Member Secretary SLSA. Member Secretary SLSA because the chairperson SLSA is also the chairperson for the Committee for Juvenile Justice. Or you can send a letter directly through the Juvenile Justice Board of East. You can write to the Juvenile Justice Board with a request that the matter be placed before the chairperson, Juvenile Justice Committee, Sikkim. So then orders can be passed, and then they will do the default. Because it is not brought to the notice of the board, no? And I will also apprise the board of this matter. It's a very good thing that these things are coming out because we will not see otherwise. But the access, you cannot do that. You have to follow up, no? Especially probation officers. You have to follow up on their cases, case workers, no? To see that they are fully integrated into society.
And some of them are already 18 when they pass 8. Then when will they finish college?
So we will end up getting abused as an adult also in that case.
Another thing is adoption. Adoption cases. As per the DC's office, now what they say is, if both the parents, the adoptive parents and the biological parents, don't have COIs, or especially if the biological parent doesn't have a COI, then this child who is getting adopted by a person who has a COI will not get a COI. Is there anything like that?
So, this is a very grey area for Sikkim because
Right.
otherwise the adoption rules are very clear.
Right.
The courts were doing it, now the responsibility has been given to the DMs, no? So, I don't know what you all did with pending cases because DMs also immediately, pending cases were required to be transferred to the office of the DM and they were supposed to complete it within a certain period
Right,
of
done.
adoption cases. That's been done, no? But this COI business is
It's
a
only for
problem that
Sikkim.
is very unique to Sikkim.
Right.
And because it involves the COI, it might be dependent on government policy now.
Right.
And we cannot, impose on that. So this is not something that you and I can solve. Because that is government policy, that government decision. Because it's such a sensitive issue, no? And why? Because it's related to so many old laws again.
I think the crux of the problem is the property. The property is transferred to the child, no? So now if the child doesn't have a COI, then that property won't get transferred.
Because it's the son. You know the old laws very
Right.
well, no?
Right.
And because certain communities, you cannot transfer your land to other communities because of revenue order number 1, isn't it? On the other hand, an adoptive child has all the rights of a
Yes.
normal child. Now these are totally in contrast to each other. If you are saying that the child, adopted child did not, उसको biological parents did not have COI बनेगा, it's totally in, obviously you cannot get,
As per old laws,
it's there, no, so you will not get that problem is there, as long as revenue order number 1 stands. Now, this is the case of Mr. Khattiwara versus LD Kazi. That was, it went up to the Supreme Court, no?
Right,
Although
right.
at that time he said, I'm an adopted son
Right.
and I should get the property.
Right.
But the Supreme Court has laid down the law,
Right.
saying that no, because of revenue order number 1, it cannot be so, no?
Right.
So that is how it will stand till such time if the laws are not changed.
But in the old law, it says that once a child is adopted, the child has the right to the property.
Yes, no,
That is
that
the-
is there again, no? Like, even the present laws, it says an adopted child will have all the rights of a normal child. You cannot say that, oh, biological son, I say, I will give him this ancestral property. This one said, because he's adopted, I will not give him. You cannot differentiate. But in Sikkim, because of this problem, now, if it is within the knowledge of everybody concerned that the adopted child was not a child of biological parents having COI, then that might be a problem.
So we inform everyone, whoever comes to us, no? We say that if you are doing it for this, then this is the problem. So we.
But if there is no record of the child's parents not having COI, then I don't see where is the problem.
Like there are some cases where the child is abandoned, no? And they have just taken on an adoption. Even there, I think the court is creating some problems. They're saying you
Then
have to look for that.
there probably the authorities have to be very clear as to from where they got the knowledge
Right.
that the child did not have, child's parents did not have COI.
Right.
Who is to prove?
There's no notification, nothing.
No. Who is going to say this child ko parents ko COI the na? For all purposes, the child ko parents, the adoptive parents ho, and there is no record of the child's biological parents. So you can have the property registered in the child's name. But if you have to-
But they're not allowing it.
that is no understanding of the matter, circumstances of that you cannot, unless somebody goes and challenges it in a court of law, then that will be different. No?
मेरो
Somebody
voice
has to challenge that. Then it will go to the Supreme Court. Then the matter might be clear. Consequence.
वेस्ट सिक्किममा चाहिँ वेस्ट डिस्ट्रिक्टमा चाहिँ के भन्छ ओपन सेल्टर नभएर चाहिँ हामीलाई जुन चाहिँ सर्ट सेल्टर अनि
Short stay over छैन हैन त्यो
स्टेटमा
भागुन त बन्द भयो नि
हजुर प्रब्लम भइरहेको छ
हजुर
र फेरि गेजिङकै नजिकमा पनि फेरि कुनै सिसिआईहरू छैन त्यसकारण अब नजिक भनेको हाम्रो देन्ताम हो त्यसमा अब रातितिर पठाउनु होइन सर्ट स्टेको लागि पठाउनु प्रब्लम भइरहेको छ पहिलादेखि तर काम चलाइरहेको
But this matter चाहिँ in fact as DLSA West border, we have already apprised the authorities. This is the problem because homes are burned भयो. So some place may be identified one.
एउटा ओपन सेल्टर गेजिङमै चाहिँ एकदमै जरुरी छ
I know.
अब त्यो अरू सिसिआईहरू छ तर त्यो त अब लङ टर्म के भन्छ यसको लागि मात्रै सेल्टरको लागि हो र अन्त त्यो भयो भने चाहिँ एकदम सजिलो हुन्छ हाम्रो काम
I will take this also. We have written about this, but this is other matter.
Related to POXO case, we have seen certain situations, like we are trained like we just have to focus on the children safety thing, and the justice section is separate. We have nothing to do with the perpetrator. But at times the parents after 6-7 months comes and asks us, त्यो मान्छे त छोड्यो अहिले हो एन्ड देन कहाँ जानु अब डर लाग्न थाल्यो हुन्छ नि दे हेभ नो आइडिया कि विच लयर इज रिप्रेजेन्टिङ देम
यस्तो छ न दिस इज द प्रब्लम नो अब यसमा चाहिँ अवेरनेस must generate awareness because now the law I mean there are so many things in place which has addressed these situations. There is a specific order saying that in all POXO cases an advocate has been appointed to make sure that the advocate is there especially to look after the victim's welfare. To see that even in trials, number of POXO cases, I think you all know it's known as in camera, no? In camera money is a closed trial. Or koi pasnu pauna like Juvenile Justice Board trials. Nobody is allowed inside except for the immediate parties who are required. Tara, this advocate is allowed to sit in the case, POXO victims, just to make sure that the victim case is being done, conducted properly by her advocate or the PP. Because victim ko लागि it is always the PP, no? Public prosecutor ले सबै case गर्छ नि त for POXO victims. But in addition to that, SLSC ले चाहिँ there is a specific separate nowadays lawyer appointed just to sit into the cases to see that every case चाहिँ राम्रोसित conduct गर्दैछ victim को there was nothing done by the court or the lawyers which would be prejudicial to the victim, right? And victim's family also, if they feel that we are not being represented properly, if they are not satisfied, under the act they have an option to appoint a lawyer. And after they have a choice. If they can't, they can ask SLSA, separate, we want another lawyer to represent us. Us means the victim.
मोस्ट अफ टाइम हाम्रो अफिसमा आउने उनीहरूको पिपीको पनि थाहा हुँदैन पिपीको फोन नम्बरहरू लिएको छ भन्दा पनि थाहा हुँदैन
Okay, now I will make sure that the lawyer appointed for this will apprise because that is his duty now. यही प्रब्लमले गरेर चाहिँ it's just started in fact from November or December देखि थालेको. So now this problem will not happen I think because this lawyer has a list of all the POXO cases. All the victims like say he has to update the family of the development in the case because यस्तो हुन्छ नि बिचारा naturally they'll feel like that किनभने victim र parents को बयान सकेपछि चाहिँ cut off. They have no contact with the court. And PP बिचारा is कतिवटा so many cases PP is not going to call up each family and say like तिम्रो केसमा यस्तो हुँदैछ है यस्तो भयो है. They also have manpower problem हैन. And that is not PP's job also, that will be demanding too much of them also. So that is why there is a separate lawyer. His job is to do all this. He will update them also, families, for the reassurance कि तपाईको केस त्यस्तो हुँदैछ है. In case acquittal भयो भने acquittal अब छोडे भन्नु हुँदैछ नि तपाईँ छोडे भए पनि this lawyer will say यस्तो भयो this is your option you can go in appeal the state obviously will go in appeal. The state appeal going on, if you are not satisfied with the state, go lawyer, repeat, then you ask for another lawyer. They are entitled to that also. So this problem will get solved. But in case they come again, you just tell them, you find out because they will update you. You can find out from SLSA. You can find out, you can ask them for a list of all these advocates appointed for POXO victims. Because I know that in West it has already come, in East it has already come. I'm not sure about South, North. North, do you have one?
Can we ask the DLSC?
You can ask the DLSC. You can ask the DLSC. Because means I make sure that every time I take up my POXO case, even if that lawyer is late, I say, call him just now. I want him there in the proceedings. Okay, so you must make sure that these people know about this, and if they don't know about it also, in case the North DLSC doesn't know, just tell them, who's for North, and when there are POXO cases going on, you ask them, please be present, because not know how many cases do you have. No, any cases, so if they know in advance the POXO date is fixed, No, you can be present. Anything else?
That's like
Gokul लाग्यो है?
One more thing, adoption, no? If I can ask you.
Of course. I'll try. If I don't know, I'll see.
Yes. There are some cases where the child is taken at birth itself in another family. These two families, they have understanding. Seeing that not our nani पालन सक्दैन, so you please take the child. So as soon as the child is born, this other family has taken the child. Okay? Now we have this case that this child has already reached 17 years old. And now they have come for adoption. Now they are not related in any ways. So now how do we go about the adoption? Because as per the adoption laws, it doesn't, one is either relative adoption or other is the step adoption. Now there is no way in between now. So now how do we handle this case? But from the birth itself,
They are already. So here now there are certain instances where adoption can be through customary laws. Supposing this is not covered by customary laws also. सानोदेखि नै यस्तो हुन्छ certain times what happens is there's a family, but from birth they'll give up one child. My brother, you don't have children, you take him.
brothers is okay, that's in their relative.
Yeah.
But then
Supposing they're not related also.
Right.
They're good friends.
Right.
Not related. They don't have children. I have 3 sons. You take one son. Next, my son is born. They're so close that meet you love your son. It could be that, no? Now for that, the rules here, you can do an entire case. You will have to probably through evidence examine. Now it will be up to the authorities to prove by way of examining the witnesses. Yes, there was adoption. You have to prove that from birth there was adoption. That there was that the child was surrendered. By the biological parents. Number one, the surrender. Surrender is proved. Then it is proved that Samajma, they did not consider the child of the biological parents. He was always considered the child of the adoptive parents. They have nothing in writing, but for all intents and purposes, he was accepted as the son of the Juvenile. Maybe then the court can pass an order like that, because there are, at least in civil matters, so many cases come to I was all along brought up as his son, but at the time of Bhanda Garne Belama चाहिँ I did not get anything. Then what happened? Then we need evidence to see whether adoption was proved or not. So that is how we handle, how we do that. Alright, so now adoption laws must, if you say specifically there is no provision, then we might have to file a case and say that you have to prove your adoption. Okay, because there is no written document, isn't it? And because they are not related, and because there is no specific provision also.
Right.
So that could be an option.
Even under Hanala, now if the child was under the age of 15, then they could have been.
But when they cross the age, no?
Right.
Like I was saying, no, in these civil matters, because I'm talking about cases where the Buro Vaisabiko, they were in the 50s. And some of the witnesses who were present when he was taken over by the other family were also gone. But then the whole Gaon knew that because he did not have children. So that is how they proved the adoption.
Well, in this case, what they have done is all the child's the documents, it's all these things named again. It's adopted parents' names.
So that goes in favor of the child to show that they have willingly given their name for all intents and purposes. For all intents and purposes, in official records also we have declared the child as our child, adoptive child. These are all things that will go in favor of the child to prove the adoption. to prove that at least he was their child.
Yes. So then, like instead of us taking up the case, should we
I
send
would
the case to the court?
suggest that now this is a child who will need to be represented. Now the DLSA is there. So you write to the DLSA, I'm a child, I need a legal aid counsel. The legal aid counsel will do all that is legally necessary for the child. Whether it is to file a case, whether it is to write a representation before the DM, whether it is to convince the DM, that legal aid counsel will do. And if you have a particular counsel in mind, which yes, counsel in mind that you want represented, who should represent you, you can even name the counsel. I'm having this problem. So the legal aid lawyer will take care of this problem.
Yes.
Anytime you are not faced with any legal problem, not you, any child is faced with any legal problem, or the parents of a child are faced with any legal problem, they can apply for legal aid. A child, because he is a juvenile, will be entitled. Now a lady, you know who are entitled to legal aid, no? If they fall under the categories of Section 12, they can apply for legal aid. So just send them to SLSA or DLSA. DLSA, it is their duty to write the application for them. Okay. So,
Now, with your permission, if I could kindly highlight on one provision under the JJR. As sir was saying, if there is no relation, under JJR we just have relative, step parent and OS. But there is a provision for foster care as well. According to the new amendment in the rule, if the CWC passes an order for foster care, then that foster family can adopt the child after 2 years. So that provision is there.
I think it's 5 years.
5 years.
No, as per the new amendment. Earlier it was 5 years, now it's 2
but
years.
I think they're talking about children who are already under the care of
Yes,
these
so
children.
since the child is already with him, the CWC can pass an order accordingly for foster care.
Maybe
then-
you can explore that.
No,
Which
we have done
provision is that?
No, that is there. We've
And
done
they can
that.
adopt
We've
legally.
done about 6 of them. No? We've done that.
You've done that.
Right.
Those families can adopt under
Yes,
JJR.
yes,
Anything else?
yes. I'm only one.
Yeah.
We are facing a problem on, facing two victims who are expecting, who are gone beyond 5 months. We are facing a problem where to place them. Because first we had this thing like Mantalaya, where we used to keep them, but now the department is not releasing the fund for that. So we are right now keeping them at that open shelter, which is not appropriate, appropriate for it.
But that's the only option available for you as of now.
Yes, sir.
Open shelter.
Yes, sir.
Let me take a note of this.
So for them, if you could have a separate home lot, or if the department could continue with Mantalaya. The Mantalaya is
Mother and
Sada Grey and
Son.
the state adoption agency.
Yeah, son.
Right. So if we can be placed there, so those child could be till there only, surrendered there itself.
this freedom, we think that freedom has a lot of manpower challenges because pregnant women needs special needs and special care.
It's the problem being faced in all the districts.
Moreover, freedom is a rehab.
It's not there.
So it's like problem.
And on West Mother, we don't even have any kind of home, so the nearest is Gangtok or
Then
Bega.
Right.
Right? I think Begama, they had a problem with in fact, one of the girls was expecting, there was an emergency in the night, and nobody wanted to take responsibility. In the middle of the night, they brought them to the district hospital in Gyalshing, and from there also that child had a complication, they had to be rushed to Gangtok STNM in the middle of the night. There were 101 problems which are these people face. But it is a lot depends on the state government to improve infrastructure. These things, what we can do is we keep bringing this up at the meetings. But slowly, step by step, things are improving. At least now, the probation officer will Now I'm so glad that at least we have probation officers. Before we had been shouting and shouting, probation officer, banda, banda, banda. I'm happy at least now we have probation officers. So likewise, at least at some stage, we will keep on pressing. And I'm glad these things keep on coming up, we will keep on placing them. So that at least stage by stage we will get something, no? These are of course difficulties very big in facing.
Here, I think the CPS is, child welfare is looked down upon because they don't have any voting rights.
So
they don't care
it
much.
is your duty also as the committee is not to see that all these benefits are
We write to the
obtained for the
department,
child.
but the department they are so tight.
And here, probation officers, here, case workers, you have to, case workers, probation officers, the main thing is the follow-up. Case to hundai garcha, case hunदाखेरि त you have all these departments, SGPO, the board is there, the committee is there. Board उनीहरू त order pass गर्दै गर्छ. Follow-up is where you will play a big role. Like you all are saying, reintegration, all that, no? Like chapter 4 of the Juvenile Justice Act. That whole chapter is dedicated to reintegration and rehabilitation. From adoption to foster care to, what is it? Rehabilitation, aftercare. It even talks of sponsorship. You know? And it talks about coordination now. Linkages and coordination. It is for you all to see that there is coordination. I kept on saying, no, see coordination between different stakeholders, with the department. It is for you all to follow up and make sure that your reintegration moment, coordination, to link each department, each section, each cell with the other so that there's coordination and the reintegration is smoother. And यसमा चाहिँ तपाईहरु follow up गर्नुहुन्छ छेली बस्नु at every stage you have to keep on pushing the case workers and the probation officers. And that is why there's an entire chapter for this chapter 4. Whole thing is on how you can reintegrate them, rehabilitate them. Also the coordination गर्नु. हैन? So it is not that a case सक्यो juvenile justice boardमा one pendency down. Cross it out. हैन? You have to follow up. Anything else? Now what will you do? You have to pass an order, no? What kind of order will you pass? Here is the answer. It says 17 orders regarding a child not found in conflict with law. Once the board is satisfied on inquiry that the child brought before it has not committed any crime or offence, then notwithstanding anything contrary contained in any other law being enforced, the board shall pass order to the effect that, and in case it appears to the board that the child referred to in subsection 1 is in need of care and protection, it may refer the child to the committee for appropriate directions. Child is brought before you, but not in conflict with law. Bichara, your child is a neglected child. It is a child, in fact, who is in need of care and protection. So what do? You pass an order. What kind of order? You send it to the committee for sending it further to a committee that Hon'ble, ya kahan, ya foster care, ya, sponsorship, anything. What will be the appropriate order? So these are, it will help you pass correct orders. At each stage, आफ्नो procedure पढ्नु भयो भने चाहिँ you will not be at a loss or you will not take a wrong step. At least, लटर-पटर गर्दै भए पनि you will be following the path, correct path, no? अब बाटो यस्तो छ तपाईहरुले यता गयो भने त हुँदैन नि हैन? And how will you go this way instead of going this way? If you don't read the procedure that is applicable to you. And that is why there is a different procedure for each stakeholder. तपाईको procedure अर्कै छ. तपाईको there is a separate procedure. तपाईको separate procedure. तपाईको separate procedure. So that is why my request is please read your procedure. Read your functions. Read your powers. And number one, what did I tell you again? Beginning, read your definition. See what you are first. You know, Bujikana, don't go to the procedure. First understand. Your act is like define गर्दछ हैन? What does the act say? What am I supposed to do? Who am I? No. I think now otherwise it will be repetitive, right? Anything else?
म्याडम यस्तो यो खालको ट्रेनिङ चाहिँ डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेभलमा पनि भएको राम्रो हुन्थ्यो। जसरी अब वेस्टको सधैँ कभर हुँदैन यहाँनिर, हामी त फुल ट्रेनिङ बसिरहेको छ। जस्तै अब वेस्टको पनि पुलिस स्टेसनको हेडहरू सबैसँग ट्रेन हुनु जरुरी छ जस्तो लाग्छ, किनभने कोही बेला हामीले नै पिएसमा बोलाइरहेको हुन्छ घरिघरि। किन त्यस्तो
yesterday, day before, हामीले पुलिसहरूलाई पनि we had a training, but that was mainly for POCSO. But त्यो सँगैसँगै हामीले चाहिँ SGPU र JGP को कतिवटा provisions we have been telling them. So हुन त SGA ले यहाँ they have been training police officers also. पुलिसको लागि अलग्गै तपाईहरुलाई अलग्गै गरेर चाहिँ ट्रेनिङ चाहिँ गर्दैछ, but it's a very good suggestion कि
अब
डिस्ट्रिक्टमै गरे भने पनि
हस्पिटलको पनि एभाइलेबल त्यहाँनिर हुनसक्छ, धेरै एभाइलेबल हुनसक्छ। जसरी गेजिङमा अब फिल गरेको हामी आफै पनि
Director Sahib, I think that is a suggestion for you.
Yes,
हस्पिटल एजुकेसन डिपार्टमेन्ट सबै हामी बसेर चाहिँ क्लियर भने राम्रो हुन्छ। डिसिप्यू सिडब्ल्युसी सबै
Even the school has
स्कुलमा पनि
need to be.
एडमिसनको प्रब्लमहरू
What do
गरिरहेको
you think like the training in this manner is helpful, or do you want the trainings to be conducted in a different manner, or you can give in your feedback, give your suggestions?
Now, in continuation to what you were saying, now as per this Rule 85 sub-rule 2, here earlier it was written that the DCPOs are the nodal officer for implementation of the Act. Now, what happens is when whatever points that you were highlighting today, I was really grateful for that because, for example, for the roster system, when I was emphasizing on that, we tend to get the blame that DCPOs interfere a lot or anti-macro and all that. So we have to ensure that.
DCPOs राति हुनै पर्छ.
We have to keep
DCPOs
reiterating.
राति भयो भने child is gone. Child will be neglected, eh?
So we have to keep reiterating the fact that it's the Act that says that and
I'm
not us.
very glad you used the word to be very colloquial. यस्तोमा चाहिँ तपाईहरु लाटा-लाटी भएर हुँदैन है. You have to be motivated, and sometimes you have to think out of the box. Sometimes you have to take quick action. And why? It is for the best interest of the child always, no? And you're empowered by this act.
So as per the new amendment, now the DCs have been nominated as the nodal officer. So regarding the training in the districts, I think it's very pertinent that the district magistrate should understand the role under the Act also, because even the adoption orders are being passed by them, and they are the nodal officers now for the implementation of the Act. So if they could be trained by the Sikkim Judicial Academy, I think it would be more effective for us in the district, especially.
I think, in fact, you could include DCs also next time in your next year's calendar. No?
Because they are the nodal officers now.
It was a SGA ko चाहिँ, I don't think you all realize the calendar is set 1 year in advance, because till April, till June, no? That's calendar year. From June to June, they normally set the calendar. So it's good you all give suggestions so that they can include it in the next year.
yes,
Next calendar.
yes.
And I think they circulate some feedback forms. Whatever you want the SGA to do, you can put it in your feedback form so that our directors can take note of that, and you'll find that the SGA nowadays is really doing excellent work in that they are trying to include so many sections and give them impart training to all of you. So you should take faida of that. In fact, if you want more, you can ask one, right? And they will get resource persons from outside also, much better resource persons. No?
In this Postal Act, this word is actually out of
No problem. We just had a POCSO the other day.
There's one part where it says it is looks like people are gender biased, no? It's like
Not gender bias, gender neutral.
neutral. Right? So in some cases where there is a consensual, right? Why is the boy being
Victimized.
victimized and not the girl?
It's so here, like just the other day we were discussing this now, consensual above the age of 16. See, below that, but before anything else, when you say consensual, number one thing to be borne in mind is that, like JJ Act, under the POXO Act also, who is a child? Under the age of 18. Anybody under the age of 18 is a child. Law does not recognize consent of a child. जस्तै होस् 17 वर्षको होस् 18 वर्षको होस् हैन, if they are below 18, have not crossed 18, even if they say it's consensual, law says consent is no consent of a minor. That is the law, that is the foundation, okay? But courts in India, not only in Sikkim, or Sikkim also, so many cases all over India, we are being inundated. माने यति थुप्रो पक्सो केसेस आउँदैछ where girl is 16, 17, boy is 21, 22 or even older and it's consensual. केटीले भन्छ कोर्टमा आएर कि it was me, I went voluntarily, we were in a physical relationship, he's my boyfriend, I'm his girlfriend, I went, had consensual sexual intercourse with him, the child is ours. What can the court do? Court's hands are tied. No. That is why even the Chief Justice of India recently in December at a conference, he said, this is one area. It's a grey area, you call it, in POXO cases where courts are facing so much problem, where children are facing problem, where families are facing problem, because they don't want the boy to be arrested, they don't want the boy behind bars. तर के भयो? कानुनले मानेन, कानुन नै त्यस्तो बनाइदियो. So here the CJI said that सरकारलाई तपाईहरु legislation चाहिँ try and do something about it. Now do something about the POXO Act where you can consider these cases. भनेर चाहिँ just 3rd March, this अस्तिको 9th. Now that I was telling the police officers, because they also keep having these problems, they have to keep investigating these cases, right? So on 3rd March, Supreme Court again passed an order. You say Rajasthan ko case there. Boy and girl, physical relationship for a long time, girl got pregnant, girl was 16, got a child. State had to file case. State le to garnai paryo. And then when the this court said no, FIR don't register one, that it is the state went in appeal to Supreme Court. Here Supreme Court has said, yes, Kanon is there, law says it is no consent, but we cannot do injustice to parties at the same time. अब law यो हो भनेर केटालाई भित्र हाल्यो, बिचारा केटी चाहिँ भर्खरै नानी जन्माएर घरमा एक्लै, all 3 are suffering. So we cannot do injustice भनेर Supreme Court ले त्यो केसमा पनि they have quashed the FIR. They said nothing doing, no case. So now because of, and there are some other high courts also who have done this, so the more and more cases are coming up where now the state is, legislature is thinking of doing something about the act. In such cases, consensual relationship, but where it is genuine. But there might be cases where केटाको पार्टी आएर भन्छ no, it was consensual भनेर just to get off the hook. उम्किनको लागि they say no, I'll marry her later. There say it has to be proved that साँच्चै नै उनीहरूको relationship थियो, genuine थियो र genuinely केटी चाहिँ 18 वर्ष नागिसकेपछि चाहिँ they are planning to get married भन्नु चाहिँ then they will. That was what the Rajasthan Supreme Court said in that Rajasthan case of the भर्खरै appeal गरेको judgment. Right, so this is the present situation.
Let us talk about one last point.
Yeah.
Ma'am, we are talking about the protection of children here. I would like to also emphasize with the Commission on the importance of protection of the people working under this scheme. I would like to share a case which happened recently, a POXO case, wherein it was apparently the accused was somebody related to a political person. And I started receiving a lot of calls because in North what happens is usually everybody knows everybody because it's a small society, so they don't want to file the FIR. So what they do is they come to our office for counseling, and then after counseling, whatever details we gather from the victim directly, then thereafter we file the FIR. So usually it's our team who's filing the FIR. And I started receiving a lot of calls stating that tapahरु मिल्यो भने केस भइहाल्छ, ब्याक गरिहाल्छ, but FIR was already filed. I had to keep on telling them that FIR filed भइसकेको छ, tapahरु मिल्यो भने भइहाल्छ, ब्याक आउट गरिहाल्नु हैन. Then we started receiving a lot of calls. That was okay, I could handle that because political pressure was okay, that was something else. But what I was more scared of was my team member who filed the FIR was being threatened by the family of the accused. FIR कोले गरेको उलाई भेट्यो भने झिकाउनु पर्छ, पिट्नु पर्छ and all that. So we were really scared and we went to the SP, we talked to the SHO. So I would also like to emphasize, if you request the
In this regard,
protection
you know
for our
that,
team
there
as
is
well.
a scheme now. Why not a chain now?
Yes, last time there was a resource person who talked about witness protection scheme.
We have that in place in Sikkim.
So she, okay, last time it was said during the training that it was not still active here in Sikkim. So that's why.
It is there. Victim protection, so witness protection scheme is very much in place, and please implement this scheme. Make it applicable to us. All right, and the tech you write directly to the DGP. All right, or you write to your authority with copy to one, and you write a copy to the Juvenile Justice Protection chairperson. Also, SLSA also, the scheme is there, but still we are getting threatening calls or all that. And also, if people come and tell you about this, just tell them that in the POXO Act, like in Juvenile Justice Act, obligation goes like that. Family, society, state, you know, to protect the children.
That it is will be penalized if you don't report.
Exactly. So
Explain everything to them. But it
you
was-
can say, if I don't, tomorrow police is going to register case against me. Victim can register case against me because I have knowledge. Now I'm bound under the act to report it. Because if you don't report it, you will be
Yes.
an accused.
So we told that to the people who were calling us, the political thing, we apprised them about the penalties against us. But it was the accused family who was sending threats to my team member. So she was very scared and intimidated. So
Yeah, but she'll have to
what do we
seek
do?
protection under the witness protection scheme only. And what you try to make this known to all the concerned authorities. This is happening. No? That's about the only thing you can do. I think.
It's quite scary in our job if the person gets acquitted, then they hold that anger against us. Yeah.
That is called professional hazard. No, no profession. There are positives and negatives. No, these are some of the hazards that your profession will have to face. There will be circumstances. About even in the villages when panchayats report, no, like sometimes they go against the panchayat because हाम्रो गाउँको अब होइन जुन इज्जत गयो समाजमा हाम्रो गाउँ यस्तो के भयो all that, no, or even if the family goes and reports, they have that. So that is why the need for the witness protection scheme to be implemented. Now it is for the authorities to make sure that they utilize the scheme. Should we wrap up? If you have other questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.